All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Jaron Ennis and what he had to say about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. ahead of his upcoming fight with CUSTIO CLAYTON this weekend. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, talking about two things. One is what Jaron Ennis has to say about the top two dogs at 147, and also his upcoming fight with CUSTIO CLAYTON. Many of you guys know that over here on Fanon International Boxing, we are very, very, very high on Jaron Ennis and think that he is most definitely the number 3 welterweight right now in the division behind Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. And Jaron Ennis is in agreement. But not only that, man, he says some very, very interesting things about the comparisons that people make between he and Terence Crawford. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber, please accept my appreciation for you continually watching our videos, watching the live streams that we do Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Also, if you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. All right, so here we go, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, why do you talk about Jaron Ennis so much? What is the big deal with Jaron Ennis? He's not fought anybody. He's not done this. He's not done that. But in my opinion, every once in a while, there comes a fighter that you can absolutely positively see the greatness on the guy before he gets near or beats any of the top level guys. And honestly, you can see that in most of the fighters that wind up getting there. Terence Crawford, it was not hard to see early in Terence Crawford's career that Terence Crawford was going to be one of the top guys in boxing. I'm not sure why he didn't get signed to a major promotional deal, promotional deal when he came out of the amateurs, probably because he didn't make the Olympic team, and Bob Arum was higher on guys like Mikey Garcia and other people are out there getting a little bit more shine than him. Errol Spence Jr. early on, people are like, yeah, that's going to be the dude in the 147-pound division. Could see that very early in him, and you had a lot of the same things being said about Errol Spence Jr., what's he done, who's he beat, all of that type of stuff. You heard the same stuff I remember hearing the same stuff about Floyd Mayweather. I heard the same stuff about Andre Ward. I've heard that same stuff about a lot of fighters. I heard about Shakur Stevenson, still heard about Gervonta Davis. And Jaron Ennis falls right into that class of those fighters, except for the one thing that I will say is that from my perspective, he looks even more special than most anybody that I named on that list, with the exception of maybe a few. That this dude, from what I can see, is just another type of fighter. And he said he has a fight coming up against CUSTIO CLAYTON coming up this Saturday on the undercard of JERMELL CHARLO versus Brian Castano. And he said he was asked, who he thought the top welterweights were. And of course he said himself, but he was asked specifically about the comparisons that were made between he and Bud Crawford. And he said, look, man, I don't understand why people say I fight like Terence Crawford. I don't fight like Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford has his style. I have my style. I'm better than Terence Crawford at everything Terence Crawford does. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm faster, I'm smarter. I can fight. And the funny thing is when he talked about the stances, he said, I can fight in either stance, and I am strong in either stance. Pretty much saying that he believed that, or at least insinuating, or maybe I'm inferring that when making that comparison, that he's saying Terence Crawford is stronger in one stance or the other. And he also said that he can fight an entire fight in either stance. If he wants to fight a guy from the first round to the 12th round in the southpaw stance, he can do that. If he wants to fight in the first round to the 12th round in the orthodox stance, he can do that. And so my take on it is that as you compare him, and this is the interesting thing, man, because You look at Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford coming from 135 pounds and moving up into 147 pounds. That's 3 weight classes. Jaron Ennis starting off at 147. He moves up three weight classes. He's at 160 pounds, right? So the size difference, that the 5'11" versus the 5'8", a guy walking around looks like he may be walking around at 175, 80 pounds versus somebody walking around 165 pounds. I think that as far as you compare them within that welterweight division, I think what Jaron Ennis is saying is true. That he is probably, as a welterweight, has a better potential than Terence Crawford does at that weight class. And I'll also say, now I've seen Jaron Ennis do things that, defensively, that I've not seen Terence Crawford do. And I really think that if there is a separation between the two, I think that the big separation between the two would be in the defensive side of things. Jaron Ennis is like a defensive highlight reel with how he can slip punches, counter, and get out. He just absolutely seems like the man has a very, very good knack defensively. And if you guys are familiar with the scoring criteria, right, of boxing, which is clean, effective punching, effective aggression, defense, and ring generalship, I think they're both stacked all the way to the top in everything, except for the one thing that I think that Jaron Ennis is probably better at is defense. And there's not been, and also defense, his defense to his effective aggression is something special. So, I'm looking forward to seeing this CUSTIO-CLAYTON fight. This is probably, this should be a good fight for him. CUSTIO-CLAYTON is a solid fighter. And he's somebody that is I don't necessarily know if he's going to be the best fighter that that Jaron Ennis has faced to date. That may be Thomas Delorme, or Sergey Lipinets. And actually, I think CUSTIO-CLAYTON, if I recall correctly, really gave a lot of trouble to Sergey Lipinets. So it may be a little step up from Sergey Lipinets. But whatever the case is, he blew out Sergey Lipinets, and he blew out Thomas Delorme. And I would not be surprised if he absolutely blows out CUSTIO-CLAYTON. But at that point in time, then he becomes the mandatory for Errol Spence's IBF belt, and he's in championship play. And there should be no more talk about, what has he done, who has he fought, all of that. Because once you become the mandatory, you're the mandatory, and you get the fight. That's just what it is. Once you are a top 3 contender, you are ready to fight for the championship, and that is how you determine whether or not somebody deserves a fight, not whether or not he's got a bunch of old cats on his resume, or whether he has, and honestly, man, I don't understand how you can prove yourself until you beat a champion anyway, with the mindset that a lot of people have, because you say, who does he beat? And then you be like, okay, well, who should he beat? And then they are like, I don't know who they should beat. Exactly. Because the only people that, until you beat the champion, until you beat an Errol Spence Jr. or you beat a Terence Crawford, or, he's not going to get the credit, because if he beats Danny Garcia and those guys, the critics are going to say the same thing. They're going to say the same thing all the way up until he becomes an undisputed champion. And even then, they'll turn around and say that he didn't fight good enough competition to get it. But anyway, it is what it is. I thought that was interesting. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.